Delivery drivers see things most people never will, and some of those discoveries are so disturbing, companies quietly bury the reports. Today, you'll hear the top 10 most chilling discoveries drivers made, things caught on doorsteps, inside homes, and in places they should have never been. Think about it, drivers go everywhere. Every neighborhood, every back road, every apartment no one talks about. If anyone would uncover the darkest things happening behind closed doors, it's them. Most people think delivering is simple, but for drivers, every stop is a new unknown. And some discoveries stay with them forever. Would you keep delivering after seeing this? Let's start with number 10, the house that wasn't supposed to exist. Drivers reported a location deep inside a forest, no roads, no lights, nothing. GPS insisted a house was there. After hiking through brush, they found a cabin with no electricity, no signs of life, but a package label with their own full name printed on it. Inside the box, an empty envelope. That cabin was later confirmed not to be registered in any state database. Imagine the feeling of finding something that doesn't officially exist, with your name attached to it. It's a chilling reminder that some places operate outside the system, hidden in plain sight. How does a company even get an address like that? And more importantly, who sent the package, and why was it addressed to the driver personally? The questions left behind are almost scarier than the discovery itself. Coming in at number 9, the apartment with the moving shadows. A driver delivering at night noticed shadows moving behind a slightly open door. This was strange, because the tenant had been reported missing for months. The driver felt a knot in their stomach but followed protocol, leaving the package and reporting the activity. When police checked, the apartment was empty except for old food containers and a dirty mattress. There was no electricity, no running water. Someone had been living there, squatting in the dark, and they had been there very recently. The driver realized the shadows they saw weren't just tricks of the light. They were from the person who was hiding just feet away, watching them. It's one thing to deliver to an empty house. It's another to realize you weren't alone. At number 8, we have the backyard of mannequins. This story is straight out of a horror movie. Behind a normal-looking suburban home, a driver glanced over the fence and saw dozens of mannequins. They were dressed in formal wear and positioned like they were at a bizarre, silent dinner party. Some were sitting at empty tables, some were standing in groups, and one, just one, was staring right at the fence, facing him. The driver felt a shiver run down their spine, but dismissed it as a weird art project. But when they returned the next week with another delivery, every single mannequin had moved positions. The one facing the fence was now by the back door, and others were arranged in a new, unsettling tableau. Imagine unloading a package with 50 blank faces staring at you, knowing they might not be in the same place tomorrow. Next up, at number 7, the package that whispered. This is a recurring report from several different drivers across different companies. They describe receiving packages that seem to whisper or emit faint, muffled sounds. At first, they thought it was electronics malfunctioning inside the box or just their imagination playing tricks on them during a long shift. But one day, a box whispered something that made the driver freeze in their tracks. It said, clear as day, "Don't open it." The driver was so spooked they took the package back to the depot and insisted it be inspected. The result, the box was completely empty. No device, no speaker, nothing that could have made a sound. Where did the voice come from? And what was the warning about? Some things just can't be explained. At number 6, we have the basement handprint. A driver was asked by an elderly resident to help carry a heavy package down to their basement. Happy to help, the driver followed them down the rickety wooden stairs. The basement was musty and dark, filled with old furniture covered in white sheets. As the driver set the box down, their phone's flashlight swept across the far wall, revealing something that made their blood run cold. On the dusty concrete wall was a single, fresh handprint, as if someone had just pressed their hand against it. But the handprint was on the asterisk inside asterisk of a small, barred window that led to nowhere but solid earth. There was no way anyone could have reached that window from the outside. The resident didn't seem to notice, but the driver couldn't get the image out of their head. Who made that print and how? For number 5, let's talk about the silent follower. A driver on a rural route noticed a car started following them late one afternoon. At first, they didn't think much of it. Rural roads can be sparse. But after 3 or 4 turns onto different side roads, the same old, beat-up sedan was still there, keeping a steady distance. The driver tried to speed up, then slow down, but the car just mirrored their every move. It never got too close, never tried to pass. It was just there. For nearly an hour, this silent game of cat and mouse continued until the driver finally reached a more populated area, and the car vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared. There was no confrontation, no threat, just the unnerving feeling of being watched, followed, and studied for miles on end. The driver never knew who it was or what they wanted. At number 4 is the note in the mailbox. Delivery drivers are explicitly told not to open mailboxes, but one driver found a note taped to the asterisk outside asterisk of 1, addressed specifically to the delivery person. It was scrawled in messy, desperate handwriting. The note read, "He won't let me leave. Tell someone, please." The driver was faced with a terrifying choice. Was this a prank or a genuine cry for help? They couldn't just ignore it. They called the non-emergency police line and reported it, giving the address. The police later confirmed they performed a wellness check and took action, but couldn't provide any details. The driver never found out what happened to the person who wrote the note, but they are haunted by the thought of what might have happened if they hadn't made that call. Our number 3 spot goes to the farm with no animals. A driver had a delivery route that took them past a remote farm every week. It looked like a normal farm with a barn, a silo, and a farmhouse. But something was always off. There were never any animals. No cows in the pasture, no chickens in the yard, no dogs barking. The fields were always perfectly plowed but never planted, the creepiest part. Every week, the scarecrow in the middle of the main field would be wearing different clothes. One week, a plaid shirt and jeans, the next, a formal suit. The week after, a child's raincoat. The driver never saw anyone on the property, ever. It was a perfectly maintained, yet completely dead farm with a silent guardian that changed its identity every 7 days. The runner-up at number 2 is the recording. A driver was delivering a package to a smart home equipped with a video doorbell. As they approached, the doorbell speaker crackled to life, but it wasn't the homeowner speaking. Instead, a distorted, looped recording started playing. It was a child's nursery rhyme, but it was slowed down and played backward, creating a demonic, unsettling sound. The driver froze, looking around, but the street was empty. The recording just kept playing its horrible, looping tune. The driver quickly dropped the package and ran back to their truck, the sound following them all the way down the driveway. They later learned from a neighbor that the family who lived there had moved out abruptly months ago, leaving everything behind. The house was supposed to be empty. And finally, the number 1 most chilling discovery made by a delivery driver is known as the collector. This story comes from a veteran driver who was on a route in a wealthy, secluded neighborhood. One home had a specific instruction: leave all packages in the garage. The side door is unlocked. For years, the driver did just that, never thinking twice. One day, a particularly large package required them to go further into the garage than usual. The lights were off, and they used their phone for light. That's when they saw it. Lining the back wall of the garage, displayed on shelves like trophies, were dozens of driver's licenses, wallets, and sets of keys. Beneath them, neatly arranged, were the uniforms of several different delivery companies. The driver realized this wasn't just a collection. It was a shrine to the people who had come before. They dropped the package and left, quitting their job the very next day. They never went back to that neighborhood again. These stories remind us that behind every door is a different world, and sometimes the people who bring us our packages get a terrifying glimpse into a reality we'd rather not know exists. So next time you see a delivery driver, remember the things they might have seen. Thank you for watching, and if you have a chilling story of your own, share it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more unsettling tales from the world we only think we know. Stay safe out there. Ever wonder what secrets your delivery driver knows? They visit hundreds of homes a day, seeing things most of us never will. And sometimes, what they see is downright terrifying. From routine drop-offs that turn into nightmare fuel, to packages that should never, ever be opened, these are the 5 most disturbing encounters ever reported by delivery drivers. Let's start with number 5, the house full of identical portraits. Imagine this, you're making a routine delivery. As you approach the front door, a sudden gust of wind blows it open, just for a second, but that second is enough. Inside, you see the walls are covered, floor to ceiling, with hundreds of portraits. All of them are of the same family, same faces, same stiff expressions, same outdated clothing. But there's a chilling detail. The ages in the portraits change, year by year. It's as if someone had meticulously painted them every single year for decades, capturing their slow, unsettling progression through time. You ring the doorbell, but no one answers. You leave the package, but the image of those unchanging faces aging on the wall stays with you for the rest of your shift and maybe for the rest of your life. The wind dies down, the door stays shut, and you drive away, wondering who lives inside that silent, watchful house. Coming in at number 4 is a phenomenon that has been reported so many times it has become a dark legend in the delivery community, the screaming package. It sounds like a bad joke, but drivers swear it's real. They'll pick up a standard-looking cardboard box, and the moment their hands touch it, a scream erupts from within. They say it has not an animal sound. It doesn't sound like anything trapped or frightened in that way. It sounds chillingly human, a muffled, desperate cry. The first instinct is panic. Is someone in there? They shake the box, but it feels empty. Most drivers, terrified, report it immediately. The packages are always opened, sometimes by law enforcement. And every single time, they're empty, not a thing inside. The official explanation is always a prank, some kind of hidden speaker or elaborate hoax. But the drivers who've heard it, they say otherwise. They describe the sound as too real, too filled with anguish. They say a prank doesn't explain the cold dread that washes over you. What would you do if a package screamed when you touched it? Would you open it, or would you just drop it and run? At number 3, we have a story that blurs the line between a simple delivery instruction and a sinister plot, the locked room delivery. This report comes from a driver who frequently delivered to a lavish, secluded mansion. The delivery instructions were unusual. The homeowner, speaking through a high-tech intercom system, always requested that packages be left inside a specific room in the basement. The voice on the intercom was always calm, but drivers noted it had a slight, almost imperceptible tremor, like someone trying to hold back immense fear. For weeks, the driver followed the instructions, leaving packages in the designated basement room without a second thought. But one day, the driver returned for another delivery and found the mansion completely abandoned, gates wide open, windows dark. Curiosity or maybe a sense of dread led the driver to check the basement room. The door was now bolted shut from the outside, thick, heavy bolts. And upon closer inspection, the driver realized the entire room was soundproofed. The strange instructions, the shaky voice, the now sealed room, it all painted a horrifying picture. What or who was that room for? And where did the family go? The driver never found out, and the abandoned mansion remains a local mystery. This next one, at number 2, takes a piece of modern technology we all know and twists it into something truly unsettling. The doorbell camera that followed them, We're all used to doorbell cameras. They're there for security, to watch over our homes. But what if one watched you a little too closely? One driver reported delivering to a suburban house with a standard-looking video doorbell. But as he walked from his truck to the porch, he noticed something odd. The lens of the camera was physically turning, tracking his every move. This wasn't the digital panning you see on some models. The device itself was swiveling to follow him. Consumer models just don't do that. Shaken, he completed the delivery. Later, his delivery app showed him the footage captured by the homeowner's camera standard feature for proof of delivery. The background in the video was perfectly clear. The house, the lawn, the sky all crystal sharp. But his own face was grotesquely distorted, twisted into an unrecognizable, monstrous mask. He did some digging. The homeowner listed on the account didn't exist. The house, he discovered, had been vacant for 14 years. So who installed the camera, and what was it that was looking back at him? And now for the #1 most disturbing encounter ever reported by a delivery driver. This story is so profoundly creepy that it has haunted the industry for years. The infant that wasn't an infant. It began with a frantic call. A driver picked up a box that was making a noise. It wasn't a scream or a rattle. It was the unmistakable sound of a crying infant. The driver, thinking a terrible crime was in progress, panicked and called the police. Several other similar reports had surfaced around the same time from different drivers in different areas, all describing the same thing. When authorities finally opened the box, the source of the crying was revealed. It wasn't a baby, it was a doll, but it was a perfectly realistic, life-size doll. Its synthetic skin was warm to the touch. If you placed your ear against its chest, you could hear a soft, simulated heartbeat. Its eyes, glassy and lifelike, seemed to track movement. The immediate question was, where did it come from? No shipping company claimed the package. No toy manufacturer admitted to producing such a thing. An investigation traced the serial number on the doll back to a medical supply facility, one that had been shut down in 1998. The story was already chilling enough, but there's one final detail that drivers who were there can't forget. When they opened the box, the doll's simulated heartbeat didn't stop. It sped up. These are just a handful of the stories that circulate among the people who bring the world to our doorsteps. The next time you see a delivery driver, remember they see a side of our neighborhoods that we never do. They are the keepers of our collective secrets, the silent witnesses to the strange and the unexplained. Thanks for watching, and if you have a creepy story of your own, share it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales from the shadows.